Whenever people disappear or pull back on you, and you don't really know why, they don't really leave a trace of the trail on what exactly happened. All that you know is that you're left there sitting like, what did I do wrong? What did I do this? What did I do that? And it might have been something that you did, but in all reality and all the more likely, you might have just thought that this person was somebody that they're not. And God showed you who they really are. A lot of the times we don't lose people. God just shows us what they really are and what they're really about and what their intentions really are. And so there's a difference between being cherished and not being cherished, and to just kind of evaporate in the relationship, right? No matter what kind of relationship that it is. But it seems like a lot of people get hung up on the fact that this person is, like ghosting them, or they are pulling back, or they disappeared, and now they're realizing, this person that pulled back, they now realize that they're in love with you. This happens sometimes, and I've seen this frequently in my own life, where somebody pulled back from a while ago, and I could tell that this person was not really ready for a mature relationship, and so I just kind of pulled back too, because this person pulled back their energy. So I figured, well, okay, well, I'm gonna pull back my energy, because I could see that this was a game that they were playing. I could tell that it wasn't because they were busy or anything like that. It was, they were trying to get power. And so I pulled back, and now now that I pulled my energy back, now they're reaching back out to me, super nice, super respectful, behaving very well. And it's like, if only, if only you could have done this, beforehand, because, sorry, but, I've already got stuff going on somewhere else. But it's funny how this works, right? It's funny how when they pull back and they realize they made a mistake, when they disappear, like they disappeared on you, but now they realize that they might have effed up. It's like, well, that's how the game goes sometimes. That's how the game happens. And the best thing that we can do is to acknowledge what's happening and to move accordingly, because you don't really want to go back to somebody that is playing those kinds of games, right? And because what's weird also is sometimes with people, as soon as you know where they stand with you, or vice versa, that's when they're going to disappear. It's crazy, because sometimes people just want to know where they stand with you. They don't really want to develop something with you. You're just a mystery, not because you're trying to be, really, but because of just who you are. I mean, it doesn't always have to be because you're a mystery, but you get the point here, right? And you might be mysterious, and so now they just want to see if they can lock you down. They want to just see if they can get you to like them. It's a game for some of these people out here. They literally have nothing better to do with their lives. Okay, and don't put too much emphasis on this, and don't get too caught up in it. And when I'm telling you this, I'm also telling myself this, because pointing one finger out at you guys, pointing one finger right back at me, because there's just times where it can be so frustrating, and rightfully so, because if they want to invest, if this person's investing time, energy, they're telling you all these things about, they're letting you experience who they are, and it seems authentic. Well, then you want to share who you are. You want to share, and you just want to share and give to each other, right? Well, so what happens is like some of these people out here, it might be because you said something wrong, perhaps, but I don't think, I think if somebody likes you enough, they're not going to see you saying certain things as a big issue. Because if you can stand your ground and you can be like, look, I'm not forcing you to be here. I want you here, but I'm not forcing you to be here. And I don't really need you, but I want you, specifically as a man in this case, because men need to be needed and women need to be wanted. That's really a golden rule that I've learned along my own path, and something that I've learned just from talking with other people and seeing what relationships work and what don't. Like, if a woman knows that you don't need her, but you want her, the dynamic is usually healthier. But if a woman suspects that you need her, the attraction really goes down the drain. And if you're a woman watching this and there's a man in your life where you need him and he's going to be there for you when he's needed, this is going to be something that the man is going to become more attractive just by this kind of quality alone, right? This single quality of a man just being able to be needed and knowing that he's needed by his woman, it's going to want him, like he's going to want to propel himself closer to you. But if you give off the vibe that you don't need him, you may not be attached to an outcome, let's say. As a woman, you may not be attached to an outcome, but you still desire, like you make it known to him that you want him and you need him. Like your life would not be the same without him. Has there ever been any woman that says this to a man and the man's like, nah, all right, fuck you? Like, it just doesn't happen. I don't, like, it does maybe like a minority of the time, but those are men that are just not mature. Those are men that are not mature and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how they're doing it. And they may come off as these like thugs, right? Or these more hard dudes or whatnot, but there's like a fine balance, because you don't want to be too like lovey-dovey as a man, but you don't want to be not enough either, because I've seen relationships where the man is not affectionate enough. And like I remember, for example, my grandfather, when my grandmother died, all he could listen to was Elvis Presley's "You Were Always on My Mind." That song, "You Were Always on My Mind." He could only listen to that song for a long time, and he said that he would play it in his head if he wasn't playing it outside, and he would just think about those lyrics, and he would say like, man, I wish I told your grandma I loved her more. I wish I told your grandma I really wanted her more. It was just, but my grandma, she was a bit of a matriarch, though, to be fair. She was a bit of a controlling kind of figure, but she was very fiery and she was very passionate about what she did, no matter what it was. I remember she had this whole like genealogy book of our entire family, and she spent all of her retirement going back and doing research on genealogy, and she created this amazing book about genealogy. And we had our differences and we didn't really get along the best, but I thought that was pretty cool nonetheless, because that tells me that at least you're trying to devote your life and something to something higher. And I just don't see women doing that anymore. Like, it's almost like I've seen the generations where the men just have refused to care, and then the women just refuse to invest. So then this leads to the liberation of women, which also now invites simps. And now simps have, like, I don't like simps really. And there are some people that misunderstand what I'm saying when I talk about these kinds of subjects, to think that, like, I somehow have this hatred toward women. I don't have a hatred toward women. I just dislike what simps and the media and feminism as a movement has done to women. That's what I don't like. I love women, and I love the feminine essence. But, you know, even, like, there's some women that I've talked to in the past where, and recently actually, one I'm sort of talking to now, she's a career woman, but she's very feminine for the most part. But something I realized, because I was told by her that she was given an ultimatum by her last boyfriend, who was apparently a pretty serious boyfriend. Doesn't sound like she's dated anybody since, and it's been years, okay? And she said that she was given the ultimatum to choose her boyfriend at the time or her career, because she was just too focused on her career. And she decided to choose her career. And you know, when she told me that, in one aspect, I was like, wow, this is a woman that knows what she wants. But then I thought about it, and I thought, oh, this is also a woman that, if it came down to me or her career, she would probably still choose her career as well. Even though she's a very feminine woman, and she's got a lot of great things going for her, and she's been very helpful. She's already multiplied stuff in my life just by talking to her. Like, we have replenished and multiplied the earth together already in many ways, and we're not even, like, together, right? And that's a sign of a healthy dynamic. However, I get the sense, and I get the feeling that she, even though she's placed, and she's told me this, she's placed great attachment to our connection. What she doesn't know, like I can feel that, even though that she said this to me, I can feel like she doesn't know how to balance the career with the potential relationship. And to me, this is a sad thing, because I see just too much of this stuff going on. And the likelihood of a woman like this choosing her career again over her, over you is probably pretty high. And so now I'm having to recalibrate and re-strategize and rethink, like, okay, well, there was this great potential here, but now I'm seeing the writing on the wall. And what's good about this, though, is I don't have any expectations. And nobody's really just, like, there's no hard feelings or anything involved either. I think this is something that many people need to have when it comes to people disappearing in their lives as well. If somebody disappears in your life, that's a sign of God showing you that something's going on that maybe you don't know about, and maybe you don't need to know about, But maybe it's just going to be God showing you who they really are again. And that's just something you have to accept. I don't think you need to be angry about it. I don't think you need to be bitter. I think it's normal to be a bit sad. But you can just let and accept those emotions, you know. Sometimes there's courage in letting out those those saddening emotions. There's a kind of courage in that. And I'm not saying you should, you know, just, if somebody disappears on you, you should go weep and moan and cry and just, you know, whatever. At least to the men out there. The women, I think I can understand that more. But to the men, at least go out there and do something while you cry. like make a spear while you're crying or something. I don't know. Like do something manly while you're crying, because at least you're doing something as you're moving, like you're moving forward as you're feeling the emotions. So I hope this was a insightful video and perhaps edifying in one way, shape, or form or another. Maybe gave you some light on the subject. And, you know, don't take it too personal. Especially when it comes to nowadays with relationships, like, yeah, we're cooked mostly, but there's still good people in the world. And we got to focus on the good people and just making sure that we understand that sometimes it's better to be alone than to be with somebody that says one thing and does another. All right. So with all that being said, I do have a Godlike Mastery Initiation free class this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in that class, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the intellectual, emotional, spiritual, and physical attributes to build your confidence in a fallen world. All right? And if you want to do a free 15-minute call for the Regal Change Academy, the group that we have, before you join the academy with the membership, and it's a month-to-month membership, by the way, so you can cancel at any time. But people, you know, they usually don't, because once they see the value, they stay around. But I'm just saying that the option is there, because I know what it's like to be in the past. And like when I was, you know, looking for stuff in the past where they'd say, oh yeah, it's just, you know, a yearly thing with all this money up front. And it's like, that's a lot to invest at one time. So a small investment that leads to a bigger investment on yourself, that's the goal here. And if you want to sign up for a free call with one of the Regal Change Academy team members, just check out the link in the description box below. But with all that being said, I think we've got the topic in for today. I've ran some errands today. I woke up and I started to feel creative. So I just went to painting immediately after waking up. I didn't get too much sleep. And sometimes when I'm in a creative mood, I just gotta go. And so I woke up and I started painting, and went to the gym, got some work done, got some errands done, and now doing some more work, probably the rest of the night. So it's been a pretty productive day, pretty good day, but, you know, just going with the flow, you know. But anyways, I hope that everybody has a blessed rest of your day. Peace be with you all. Until next time.